One of the things I think is kind of cool about this little tutorial is actually I pulled it from a Photoshop tutorial book, and the artist that actually does these, the thing I think is kind of neat about his artwork is just how many layers and how in-depth and just there's so much to look at in his stuff. For tutorial, it seems like a little bit a lot sometimes, but overall, I think it's just kind of a neat way to see how other people do work. So the next step, the next layer in this is that we're actually going to add kind of like a gradient little circle here in the middle to kind of help draw focus and attention to the center a little bit more. So I'm going to hit, wrong button. I'm going to hit the Pokemon looking ball here, and we're going to click on gradient, and this little menu pops up, and then we also have a new gradient layer on the side. We are going to do a radial gradient, and if I actually click up here, it's going to let me adjust my colors and how the gradient works a little bit. So I'm going to click on that, and we are going to use basic colors. So we're going to go here, basics, black and white. And you notice too that it's actually not actually black and white anymore. Photoshop's changed how it works a little bit to be a little bit less clunky looking. So what I want to do is actually inverse this. So I want my white to be on the inside and my black to be on the outside. You notice too when I'm clicking and dragging, if all of a sudden it disappears. If you just keep your click down and bring it back up, you should be good to go. I also know that I can adjust by dragging this around to determine kind of the size of that. You notice I accidentally clicked off a little bit and this little black box popped up. If I click and drag that down, it'll disappear. I'm going to click over here again so I can see my little triangle. I don't know. I'm pretty cool with that. That works good to me. So I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to hit OK again. But one of the problems now that we have is actually it's covering all of our artwork, and so it can't see anything. And so we're going to go to our blending mode. So if we go to our layers panel, we'll see this little thing, the box that says normal in there. We want to change that to either overlay. I actually want to change it to soft light. So our blending layers is basically like showing changes how the layers interact with the layers that are below it. Right, so each one of them are going to be a little bit different. Like I said, I'm going to switch it to soft light. And for me, I still think this is a little intense. So I'm actually going to go to my opacity. I'm going to pull it down so to make it a little bit more subtle. Now that we got that going, we are going to add another layer. This time we're going to go up to tree 2, which we still theoretically should have open. And it's just this kind of like weird leany tree. We're going to do the same things we did before. So we're going to hit Command A to select all, and then I'm going to copy it. So Command C to copy it, go back to my main project, and I'm going to do similar to what we did with the hydro, the power lines. I'm going to go to my Pokemon ball. I'm going to go to solid color. This time I'm actually going to go a little bit darker than I did last time. So let's go, I don't know, right around there. And the thing that's kind of cool about doing it with a solid color is that we can always go back in and change that color as well. So next, just like we did before, hold down Option or Alt, click on my mask, and I'm going to paste it into place. So Command V. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to bring it to the bottom. And I'm actually going to increase the size, I don't know, a decent amount. We'll start with right around there. Let's drag it over a little bit. Let's go a little bit farther. So just from, once again, doing this a few different times, I want my little tree bit here with the its little arm to be a little bit past halfway. So that looks actually pretty good right there. Hit return to say, yep, that's where I want it to be. and then I'm gonna hit Alt and click on my mask to go get out of there. Once again, we have that same issue as we did last time, right? So what's white is visible and what's black is invisible. And so what we can see is there's a big hole there. And so I actually want the opposite. So I'm going to hit Command I. Ooh, I need to make sure my transform controls are off. I'm going to deselect, Command D, Command I. So now what we see is this little tree there. And I can already tell from here is that it's not dark enough. So I'm going to double click on my color, bring it down. So I want it to stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to hit, that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit OK. Just like we did before, I'm going to make a copy of it. So now we have two. I'm going to make sure I'm on my mask layer by clicking on that, and I'm going to hit Command T to transform, Control click or right click if you have that option, and I'm going to flip horizontally. So now I have two. Drag it over about halfway. Well, that looks pretty good right around there. So I got this kind of interesting like overlap thing going on there in the middle. Alright, now, so we're going to do it again. So this time I'm going to go to tree number 1. I'm going to hit Command A to select it all, Command C to copy, and I'm going to go back into, oh no, Magic Television, I fixed it. We're going to do the same thing we did before. So we're going to go to Pokemon Ball, solid color, and this time we're going to get kind of like a, I don't know, blood red-ish color, a deep red. That looks pretty good. I'm going to hit OK, and once again I'm going to go into my mask, Option / Alt click in my mask, Command V to paste. And this time what we're going to do is I'm actually going to make my tree pretty big. So I want my tree to, actually let's do this. So I'm going to hit Alt, click on my mask so I can actually see my tree. Once again, I want the opposite. So Command I to inverse. Ooh. So the reason why I did that is because I hadn't deselected yet. So I'm going to hit Command D to deselect, Command I to inverse, right? And so what we're left with is this. I want to make it bigger, right? So I need to transform it. Command T to transform. And let's see. If I hold down Option, it will allow me to expand from the center. So that looks pretty good. I'm actually going to bring it down a little bit lower. That looks pretty good there. I'm going to go a smidge higher. Actually, this. Bring this up a little bit. So the size is pretty good. I want to keep some of this grass stuff going on down here, and I can always go bigger if I need to. So I'm going to hit Enter to keep it in place. But you know, I kind of like these darker trees a little bit better in front, and so I'm going to take my tree number 1 and actually bring it below. So now, as you can see, we got some stuff kind of going on there, which I think is actually a little bit more interesting. So there's a little bit more like depth to it that way. So this would be a good spot to save. So Command S, or go up to File, Save, and we'll move on to the next part in the next video.